T-minus 8.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ladies, are you ready?
Houston, we have a problem.
Welcome to the Basalt, Colorado Town Council meeting of March 22nd. Let's call this meeting to order about 6 o'clock. Pamela? 6:02 and a half, all right?
Here.
Rick Stevens.
Here.
Jackie Woodson.
Here.
Ron Kittle.
Here.
Ron Levitt.
Yes.
Michael Ross.
Here.
Missing Mr. Penniman.
He must be on spring breakage.
Yep.
Okay, the next item is the consent agenda. There is only the minutes of the March 8th meeting. Are there any questions, or is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, I'm going to say tie goes to Herschel. Second, Rob. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thanks. Next item is council comments, reports, and disclosures, and we will let our town manager go first on this one.
So there is a fence that has popped up on the park parcel along the river, and we've received a lot of questions and calls about it. And I have a really nice memo which we'll post to the town's website, and we'll call it the Fence on the River memo. And that is temporary, and it's temporary in part because after the melt last summer, we realized that we needed to increase the height of a portion of the river there, the river wall, let's call it, where the river came out. And when we did that, that created a greater than 30-inch drop for that little creek that was coming out. But this is temporary, because if you saw the park master plan that was once right behind me, that water feature, if it's developed over time, in a sense, addresses that issue, plus the regrading of the site. So that's temporary in nature, but it's required by our code to be there because of the drop. So that's this one. Then, to my left is our town zoning planning process. And on March 29th, we had scheduled a P&Z council joint work session. That's now just going to be a P&Z work session to continue to work on the plan. Because with an election coming, it would be almost like we're going to present it twice. So let's wait until after the election and present it once. On the back of that, we've highlighted April 19th. And I sent an email out earlier today. I think Carbondale's doing this because of the lag in mail ballots, in that you have to allow for 8 days for overseas ballots to be counted into the total. We were forced to have to wait until the 26th for the swearing in, because 8 days past the 5th is the 13th, and the 12th was the meeting. And what we're proposing is that we have a special council meeting on April 19th to seat the new council. If it's agreeable and someone makes a motion to have a special council meeting.
Is there a motion?
I make a motion that we set a special council meeting April the 19th of 2016 for the swearing in of the mayor and councilors and appointment of mayor pro tem, town manager, town attorney, and municipal judge.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry.
Discussion?
Yes, sure.
I do not think I'll be here that week, and it may or may not be an issue. But if it were, then I don't want to do anything that's going to hinder myself or the council.
Well, let me also say, I will be out of town the 19th. I was just doing this for the benefit of you all.
Okay, let me ask, this is just a special meeting only for swearing in, right?
Right.
And does it, if Rob doesn't care one way or the other, do you care one way or the other? If you get sworn in outside of the meeting? If you're,
What's the alternate? Is it the following meeting or any
Right,
time?
you'd be
it's gonna
sworn in at the following
you
meeting.
could be the star of the next meeting.
And so, but the reason for the 19th swearing in is to have the check-in on the 24th.
No, so that it doesn't last so long.
Because we're just sitting in limbo.
Okay, all right.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah, I just want to make sure it's going to be fine. Bernie, you
All right.
okay?
I won't be here, but it's fine.
Okay.
And I don't think Bernie's here on the 26th either.
Of April?
Yeah.
No, I'm not here
If I
on
were
it.
to win.
And I plan, Wait a minute, this is April 19th,
Mayor Pro Tem.
May 24th.
Let's tell him, since I might not be here either.
Yep.
Okay,
If
so
our-
we have a request here. If in fact
Uh-huh.
Rob wins, he would like to be here at least for the time when Mayor Pro Tem is sworn in.
Oh, just delay when,
Discussed.
yeah, just delay when you select the
Right.
mayor pro tem.
Okay, all right, so,
I've got a question then.
okay. Yeah, Bernie?
I planned my vacation, so the only meeting I would miss was that first one in April. Now it looks like I missed, because I'll be gone from the 14th of April to the 3rd of May. So am I missing 2 meetings?
You're missing a special meeting and the regular meeting.
The special meeting is
It's only the
not an
swearing in.
agenda meeting, it's
So I'm
just a swearing
I'm
in.
missing the one meeting I planned on.
Yeah.
Fine.
So, we have a motion and a second on the floor, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, anybody? Okay, thanks. Anything else, Mike?
No.
Okay. The rest of that agenda item is still council comments, reports, and disclosures. If anybody would like to talk. Bern?
I would just suggest maybe we would want to have a brief moment of silence in respect to the victims and the terrible Brussels attacks today.
Thank you.
Could I add to the moment?
Sure.
Mrs. Pomeroy, Lolly, Charlie Cole's partner,
Yeah.
gal named Tharp, and Paula Johnson, whose parents were heavily involved in Reese Henry. All 4 of those women passed away in the last 4 to 5 days, and Paula yesterday. So thanks, Bernie, because I was going to ask for a moment. As long as we're on the subject, we'll include those 4, because they were really important women in the community over time. So
Thank you, Rick.
thank you.
Let's call it a moment if we don't mind. Thanks, everybody, and if I could just say it, that we all have a lot to be thankful for, even in these weird times of strange campaigning and not being as loving to each other as we once were. We will be there again, and thanks, everybody. Okay, is there any other council comments, reports, disclosures? Yes, sir.
I was walking home on Friday, and there was a very nice young man who was playing a guitar on the bench between the chamber caboose and the bus stop. And he stopped me and he said, "Are you going to the bonfire tonight to keep them from building out the entire park parcel?" And it brought home to me the fact that as hard as we've been trying to get the truth and where we are and how far along in the process we are, there are still people who are circulating emails with a misinformation on these things. I mean, maybe we have to buy display ads in the Aspen Times. I don't know what else we have to do or can do, to get the word out, to have people go by the library and see the beautiful model, to come by here and see the terrific rendering by the Post Committee of what now is being supported as a position to go forward from that might be the compromise that I think all the candidates have been talking about, and hopefully all of us have been supporting. So if anybody on the staff, anybody on the council can think of more ways to get people to come and see the truth, that would be good. And while I'm on the subject of bonfires and things like that, I'm still waiting for the disclaimer to come in that has not been said in public and certainly hasn't appeared in the Aspen Times, even though I've asked them about it, that many, if not most, of the people who are organizing the bonfires and the petition drive are either on the board or on the payroll of the entity that is trying to sell us the land. And maybe if they come out and say, I'm acting as a private Basalt citizen, most people will think that was fine. But I still haven't gotten the disclaimer. No one's anteed up to that, and I think it should be up to the public to decide if that's a problem or not at all. But it's a fact, and I did ask the Aspen Times reporter about it, and I was told that he didn't think it was newsworthy, so I'm waiting for the disclaimer.
Thank you, Dr. Ross. Others? Okay, our next item is citizen comments for items not on the agenda. Are there any citizens who have comments for items that are not? Yeah. Sure.
My name's Patrice Becker. In today's Aspen Times, the question for the Basalt candidates was, what is the maximum amount of development you would allow on the Pan and Fork property? Rick Stevens answered, I voted to support Resolution 9. I have concern about candidates talking in code. I ask that the future candidate comments be more clear. This way the general public would understand what you are talking about. Also, we need to move slow on the Pan and Fork property. We are so divided. One contingent wants hotel, high-end residences, and considerable amount of development. The other, a legacy river park for the community with amenities. We cannot undo buildings. Regardless of who ends up winning, we still need to pause. This is an important decision. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Any other citizens with comments not on the agenda? No, Robin?
Nothing, thank you very much.
Wow, empty-handed. That's bad. Okay. Town council actions. Our first item is item 6. I believe it's this blue one over here. Resolution of the town of Basalt awarding a bid for the construction of the Basalt Avenue pedestrian underpass and authorizing.
Sorry, an amended man, it should say, it says, let's see, bid, I'm sorry.
Yeah, he crossed out contract and I said, I actually got it right, but you're usually on it. Awarding a bid, not contract, for the construction of the Basalt Avenue pedestrian underpass and authorizing contract negotiations with United Companies. Mike Scanlon and Bill Swigert, SGM. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I'll start, and Bill will follow, and I'll start with the funding part, because without money, you can't get to a bid award on the contract. So this is how it's formulated in terms of the budget that we have. 2.1 CDOT dollars, that's a combination of faster funding and TAP. Open space and trails, $400,000. The elected officials transportation committee, $750,000. That's made up of Aspen, Town of Snowmass Village, and Pitkin County. RAFTA, $500,000 or $500,000. The Town of Basalt, $2.9 million. Safe routes to school, $280,000. And today, we met with the Pitkin County Board of Commissioners, and they approved $240,000. They actually gave us a couple thousand more to round it up. So our request was for $237,723, and they rounded it to $240,000. We also asked them, given that we haven't received this Safe Routes to School grant, could they, contemplate an additional contribution, and they were open to that. They would like to see some other partners, but they were able to identify who some of those other partners were. So when you put all of those dollars together, you get to $7.16 million. And that is the construction budget, and those are the revenues aimed at construction. Now, the bid that you're going to review is $6,232,801. And the difference between $6,232,801 and $7.16 million is 7.5% contingency that we put in. So even if you look at the bid packages where I think contractors have allowed there to be some room, We've also put in 7.5% and 7.5% for inspections, as well as construction engineering that occurs. And we have a little money left in post that we can also to apply to that as well. The other thing that we heard from both Pitkin County and RAFTA is, given that both GR Fielding, their engineer, and RAFTA's Nick Sen, who used to work for SGM, they're willing to be sort of project overseers for the town. So what's nice about it, they have experience in overseeing the airport ABC underpass, and they're willing to give up their time to help us with our project, which for Susan, I, and Judy, we are so happy. It extends out the staff that we have available to us, given all the projects that we have going on. And the fact that they're willing to donate employees' time to help us is really appreciated. The way I sort of ended it with the Board of County Commissioners, and Susan loved it, and anytime she could hear a baseball story, she really loves it. There's a lot of teams in baseball that hit home runs, but the teams that win championships, especially the team that won the championship in 2015, only hit singles and doubles. Got people on singles and doubles. And our funding is a lot of singles and doubles. It's not a home run. But it was a lot of people working on it. John Kruger with Aspen, GR Fielding, John Redmond, John Peacock, Susan Philp, who, by the way, is the CDOT 2.1 million, because she's the one that filled out all the grant paperwork on that, as well as David Johnson with RAFTA. So it took a lot of players hitting singles and doubles in order to land the project.
Yay, can I just say, that's awesome. And if I just want to say one more thing, because somebody else came into the room, that it did take a lot of players, and it took a lot of focus, because we were still talking while we were trying to get this money about the fact that we also need an underpass, a direct shot on Midland. We need all that, but we stayed focused, and I have to say that was due to Mike Scanlon, because this has been never ending. I ran on this platform 4 years ago that this underpass was going to be done, and I am so happy that Scanlon himself and the team and all the organizations, and Julie Kolar just came in the room, and she was also a huge help. She got on phone calls with CDOT to testify as a citizen on behalf of all of us for the safety and the need for this thing. She and I went to Denver. I mean, we have done everything we could do, and it worked. So,
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Scanlon,
And many
Julie,
thanks to Julie.
everybody.
I sent her an email. I said, "There's this CDOT phone call. Could you go just sit on it for a while and make sure you get in? Basalt needs an underpass. Basalt needs an underpass." And she was willing, and she took the time to do it. So there's a lot of people that hit a lot of singles and doubles that made it happen.
It was great. So, your turn.
Thank you. So, as you know, in July of 2015, we put the project out for bid the first time. Our engineer's estimate was $5.1 million. We received 2 bids from United Companies and Gould Construction of $7.2 and $7.5 million, well over what our estimate was and what the funding would allow. Since that time, we went back to the drawing board. We worked with the town to reevaluate the project. We looked at other methods, such as meeting with the Colorado Contractors Association. They hosted a constructability review. We met with local contractors. We got feedback as far as, what are we doing here that's so complicated and driving up the cost. We then went back and revised the plans and specifications, revised our estimate. We bid it out again on March 16th, open bids. Our engineer's estimate revised at that time was $6.6 million. Happy to say we received bids from United Companies of $6.2 million, as Mike had indicated. Johnson Construction, $6.3, Gould Construction, $6.3 million, and then one last one from American Civil for $7.4 million. But with 3 bids so close together, that told us that there were several contractors that were looking at the scope of this project very similarly, and that, nothing was really missed or misunderstood. So we felt very, very comfortable with that. We then reviewed United's numbers, found out that
They did their math correctly. So based on that, SGM recommends the town award the project to United Companies.
Okay. Yeah, Mark?
I was just wondering, you said there was a contingency of 7.5. Is there anything in there to incentivize them to get the job done early?
There are penalties, I believe.
Liquidated damages in the specifications.
And then, performance bond, is that included in the price?
Yes, it's all-inclusive
Okay.
in the package.
Okay.
Rick?
Was the bid fairly well balanced? Did you see anything that would suggest that one line item was more important than another, and they put the money in there? And did you look at that in terms of, if something was deleted from the contract, would it more or less impact the overall?
At some level.
You know, would you get into a situation where someone could come back with a complaint and say, you know, how that works? If you eliminate 20% of the work and whatever it might be, so was it pretty well, when you looked at the units, I didn't see the spreadsheets or anything from the different guys, but was it pretty well balanced? The one job, what was there, 2 bids were within $38,000 between 2 local guys, so I just curious, because I didn't see the.
Reasonably balanced. I mean,
Reasonably.
as much as they can be. As you know, some contractors will put specific items in other scope items.
What's the subcontract value, you think, of that 6.2 with material and?
I'd have to go back and check the numbers. The bids are included with your package, I believe.
Yeah, I have electronically, I didn't get into it too much, but I was just curious what the split was between self-performed and other costs. You know, if something was to happen, we'd be on the hook with vendors and things like that, but it's not, you don't have to answer that now. I'll figure
Yeah,
it out.
because I don't have that information with me, Rick.
I just like looking at that stuff. Thanks.
Anybody else? Hey, I mean, I guess we're thrilled to death, and we've been waiting a long time, so I would ask if there is a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 12, Series of 2016.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you again, Mike Scanlon.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Julie Kolar,
Nice work,
everybody involved. Yay! Julie, do you want to say anything at all? Because you came clear down here.
Sure.
Come on, come up to the microphone because we're live streaming, please.
Well,
Lots of thanks, Stu. Thanks to everybody in this room. Thanks to everybody not in this room. I think it's huge. And I was thinking about it today, and that a project like this, I think, is pretty indicative of what we can accomplish. And I was just feeling pretty excited and motivated by how the team came together, the finances, you know, everything that we wish for because we wanted it. And how cool was that? So I hope that this sort of sets momentum for all the other projects and gives us a real positive sort of feeling and spin on how we can actually do these things. Because, you know, if we can do this, I think we can do anything.
Exactly.
So,
Thank you.
thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Anybody else have anything on this? Okay. I guess we did it. Did we do it? Yes, we did. Okay, all right.
So when do you think they'll start?
Probably mid-May.
Okay, the next item is second readings of ordinances. 7A is a public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 11, an ordinance of the Town of Basalt amending the town's fee schedule for the Renewable Energy Mitigation Program. Susan.
This is the second reading, and it's a public hearing, and as we explained at the first reading, this really came about because of a mistake. We try to get all the fees out of the code and in a separate fee schedule. So when we were doing the sustainable building regulations, we pulled it out of the code, and for some reason it didn't get on the fee schedule. So that's what this does, and it addresses houses over 3,500 total square feet. And so we're recommending approval after we have a public hearing.
As Susan said, this is a public hearing, so we will open the public hearing. Is there anyone in the public that has any comments on this particular ordinance? Or need to hear the title again? Are we good? Okay, I'll close the public hearing, go to council. If there's a motion, questions, or discussion?
I move approval of the ordinance number 11, series of 2016, second reading.
Further discussion?
Susan, 2 weeks ago, Gary had asked for just verification that $30 is
Right. And he did, James did some additional research, and actually the cost for photovoltaic has actually decreased. So we still thought we were within the defensible range for keeping what it was, but not increasing it. And that was kind of the nature of Gary's question, is whether it made sense to increase it. And James sent that information over to Gary, and I'm assuming he was comfortable with the answer.
It's not up to, it's a flat fee, right?
It's a flat fee, right.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Great. Thank you, Susan. The next one is also a public hearing and second reading, an ordinance of the Town of Basalt setting the salary for the mayor and the town council. Mike Scanlon.
So this is the second reading of an ordinance related to the establishment or setting the salary of the mayor and town council. If you recall from the last meeting, it had been since the 2008 budget as our best estimate as to when the last time that this has been changed. And if you recall, we picked this timing so that when a new council was seated, it became effective and it limited this time in which those people that are seated can't receive this. So in the case of Bernie and Mark and Gary, they're not eligible to receive it. Only the new council coming on can receive it.
Okay.
But we love you.
Are you sure? That's how you feel about it? So this is a public hearing. We will open the public hearing at 6:30 still. Anybody have questions, comments? Hearing none, I'll close the public hearing. Council, questions, comments?
I move approval of ordinance number 12, series of 2016, on second reading.
Second.
Who was the second?
Bernie.
Bernie, okay. Herschel and Bernie. Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thanks, guys. Next item is resolution. Resolution number 13 of 2016, a resolution of the town council finding the property known as David Co. LLC annexation property for the Basalt mini storage expansion eligible for annexation. Susan.
Okay, this is the eligibility hearing for a 2-acre annexation, and the most important thing I can actually say at the beginning of this is that the agenda doesn't reflect that this is a public hearing, and it is a public.
It is a public hearing?
It is a public hearing. Both the next 2 items are public hearings, and this is the second step in the legal requirements for annexation, and the first step was just that the petition was in substantial compliance with the state law. And what this resolution says is that it meets, this petition meets the requirements of the state law for annexation. And so that's what we're doing tonight. And the earlier petition said, it said the date and the time of the public hearing, which is tonight, and it advertised it 4 times in the newspaper weekly, and all that's been done. There's a lot of legal requirements that have to be met for annexation, and so that resolution that you have in front of you actually does that. But the 2 main ones that I want to say is, one is the state requirement that you meet the 1/6 contiguity. And this is our parcel here. I think you all know where it is. We're south of Few Lane. Here's the town shop, and we're located west of Southside Drive. And Billy Grange's conservation easement and ranch is right here. And here's our 2 acres. We're also annexing some right-of-way for Southside Drive and Few Lane. This is cleanup that wasn't done earlier pursuant to an annexation agreement that was quite some time back. So how we're getting contiguity is, these are actually 2 parcels. They meet the state law requirements, and this is something that's allowed by state law. It's called a serial annexation, and we've done it in the past. And there's some very notable examples, like when we annexed the high school. This is a 2-acre annexation. It's proposed for about 80,000 square feet of mini warehouse in about 4 buildings. And I think the other important thing that I want to say is that this site is shown in our master plan and inside the urban growth boundary. And in the past, it's in our master plan itself that annexations have to be in our urban growth boundary, and we're showing the property for industrial land use. Probably the last thing I just want to say is that this is a procedural requirement. What we do is we actually approve the annexation by ordinance, and we do it at the end of the land use process. We do that for both the town of Basalt and for the property owner, because the property owner has to see if what we're kind of agreeing to is what he wants to do, and we're kind of balancing of whether what we see that we're getting out of the application meets our needs. So we're at the beginning of the land use process. There's a land use application that's been submitted. It's complete. It is a sketch plan, site plan review, rezoning, and a subdivision. And it's under our referral process now and getting ready to be scheduled for P&Z. And the other thing is annexation is completely discretionary. There's language in here that, no one can act in reliance on terms of that resolution. And I have Clay Crossland here. He's been in front of you before, explaining the proposal when we were here for the pre-development agreement and the petition. But he's here and you can ask him questions. And Clay, do you want to add anything?
Good evening,
to what I
Mr.
said?
Crossland. Thank you for
I
coming.
would just say, for the record, I'm Clay Crossland. I'm here representing David Coe. I'm the managing partner. I'd be happy to answer any question. As I understand it, we're here to find the application eligible for annexation. We've already found the application complete, and our formal presentation will come, I guess, next month or thereafter in front of the planning and zoning, and if we survive that, we'll be in front of you.
Okay.
So if you have any questions tonight, I'd be happy to field them.
Council, questions?
Are you heating any of these,
I'm sorry, Mark,
Are you heating any of the buildings?
and I'm a little hard of hearing, Mark.
Heating the buildings?
Heating, there will be a certain component of climate control. We have roughly 70,000 square feet now, of which none of it is climate control, and we would love to be able to do some of that.
I'm just
Yes.
sure there's a need for that.
Yeah, there is, yes.
Anybody else?
Otherwise, it sounds like staff is saying that it is eligible for annexation.
It is.
Okay.
Eligible annexation, and just asking to open up a public hearing, and then after that to take action on the resolution.
Okay, this is not an annexation hearing, it is an eligibility hearing for annexation. Nonetheless, it is a public hearing. Is there anybody in the public who has questions or comments regarding this application? Hearing none, close the public hearing. Council?
I move approval of Resolution 13, Series of 2016.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great, thank you, Clay.
It's the quickest I've been here.
You mean compared to the 15 years you were here before?
Are you complaining?
No. And I heard the approval.
Susan, is this next resolution also public hearing?
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, if you could read that when you read it.
I certainly will. Next item is item 8B, Resolution Number 14, Series of 2016, a resolution of the Town Council of the Town of Basalt finding the property known as Stotts Mill property eligible for annexation. And that's Susan as well.
Okay, this is same as the one prior. This is an eligibility hearing. This one is for the Stotts Mill development, and I think everyone probably knows where Stotts Mill is, but it's located directly north of the high school and east of Southside Drive, directly south of the Southside development. It's 18 acres. This site, the Stotts Mill annexation has been through a lot of different eligibility hearings before and land use proposals, and in fact, there was the prior Stotts Mill approval was in effect. We were kind of at the final stages of recording the documents when the CCRC wanted to move forward and acquire an option on the property. And that's no longer in the picture, and so what we're here back with another annexation. And so there's really the annexation eligibility hearing here, and then it also has a land use process the council approved a pre-development agreement also on this property. And on this one, what we're doing is amending and restating part of the land use approvals, which are very, very similar to this original Scotts Mill approval for the small, single-family lots. And then the multifamily area is getting larger, and so that's gonna go through a more involved process with a sketch plan, preliminary, and final review. So, that application is almost complete. And we have Briston Peterson and Mark Chain here that can answer questions. So this is very similar to the other one in that we are looking to see if the project is eligible for annexation. And contiguity is the main issue that we're looking at. Here is a map that's showing the areas that are contiguous to the town of Basalt. So it more than satisfies the requirement of contiguity. Here's our master plan designations, and you can see that we're showing multifamily, kind of a medium density residential with parks on both sides of the property. And the resolution is very similar to the one that we were doing on the David Co. application, in that it's making the same legal findings. It's saying that they have a year to submit a complete application to us, but they can't act on reliance on that we're going to annex the property, and so we'll do it at the end. Again, we have Briston and Mark here, and if you guys want to add something to my presentation.
There was just one technical note that if you go to the last page in the application, the senior long-range planner, I think had a mistype. It was 156 units, not 155.
And my only,
Yeah, so just FYI.
my only comment is that I believe with the submittal of elevations for the multifamily area, which I did send yesterday, they haven't been vetted yet or anything, but assuming they're acceptable, then that should complete the application, be ready to move on to TRC. Staff may want to look at additional sides of the multifamily structures themselves, but that's something that you'll see later on in the process. And with that, we're just open for questions.
Are there questions right now, or should we do the public hearing real quick? Because it doesn't look like there's much. I'm going to open the public hearing at 6:40. Is there anyone in the public that has questions or comments regarding this application? Okay, close the public hearing. Council?
I move approval of resolution number 14, 2016.
I'll second that.
Okay. Herschel, Mark, further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Was it worth the drive, really?
Yes.
Yes, he says yes.
My office is 5 minutes away,
Oh, okay, good.
in Basalt.
Thanks for coming in.
All right, thank you.
Good luck on this. Let's,
Don't get a bite to eat, Mark.
yeah, right, or buy a bike or something. All right, okay. Well, spend some money. Let's see, it looks like there is nothing else actually on our agenda unless anyone has questions.
Would it be appropriate for me to just make a comment that, I guess stunned me? The comment that was made in citizens' comment sent me back a little bit, and I just wanted to offer something, but if it's out of order, I won't.
I say go ahead.
I think Herschel made a good point, and Resolution 9 should be defined. If someone who's been to every hearing that I know of about the Pan Fork is somehow misunderstanding what Resolution 9 defined and what kind of direction it set, then I can only imagine what people might be thinking that it is intended to do that didn't attend every meeting. The intent's not to speak in code. The intent is to look at the process up there on the wall and understand that that set us on a path that is what I would call typical for a decision-making body on a on a land use application, and we don't even have one in front of us. So, you know, I feel a little bit, that, you know, we typically don't respond to citizens' comments, because we're not supposed to get into a debate, but on the other hand, I think if there's, and the rest of the statement that was there wasn't read, which you guys should all read, but, maybe that's a good point that Herschel raised, that here's the starting point, guys. Let's start out with a real understanding of where we are in the process and what it looks like going forward. And make it obvious, I guess, because apparently it's not. So that's just my little, I haven't said anything all night, so I'll end on that.
Thank you, actually. Okay, a couple of things I forgot at the very beginning is to thank Grassroots, Amy and Sarah, and I don't have my written statement for WWW, but it's on Grassroots. If you want to see it again, you can see us again. Also, the Mayor's Coffee is tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock at Saxy's. It's every Wednesday after the second and fourth Tuesdays of council meetings, and everyone is welcome. And also, in chatting with people at their doors, there's a lot of people who have got quite a long pile of old stacked up mail in their P.O. boxes. You might want to check that because there is potentially a ballot in there that you might want to return to Town Hall. And that is all I have. Anybody else?
Move to adjourn.
Do you want to say something before the adjourn? Is there a second? Second. Adjourned. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thank you, staff.
He was referring to one.
Yeah.